My name is Danielle Harper, and I'm 34 years old. I work as a medical records coordinator at a small clinic. It's not glamorous and it doesn't pay much, but it's steady, and I've always valued stability over attention. Growing up, I was the quiet one, the one who stayed out of arguments and tried to keep peace in a house that never really had any. My mom always favored my younger sister. She was louder, more confident, and somehow always right in my mom's eyes. I learned early that speaking up didn't change anything, so I stopped trying. After my dad passed, everything shifted in a way I wasn't ready for. Decisions about his treatment, his finances, even the way his final days were handled, all went through my mom and sister. I started noticing things that didn't feel right. Missing information. Sudden choices. When I asked questions, they didn't answer. They shut me out. Then they turned on me. What hurt most wasn't money. It wasn't control. It was the way they made me feel invisible, like my voice didn't matter. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that subscribe button. I know how it feels to question your worth because of the people closest to you. Share your story in the comments. I'm reading every one. And don't forget to click hype. Let's keep going. After my dad died, everything became a legal matter. His care, his treatment decisions, even the handling of his estate. I didn't expect it to turn into a fight, but it did. First, I started reviewing his medical records, just trying to understand what happened in those final weeks. That's when I saw it. Notes that didn't match. Decisions that didn't make sense. Changes in his condition that came out of nowhere. I brought it up carefully at first. I asked simple questions. My mom didn't like that. She said I was stirring trouble. My sister backed her up, saying I was obsessed with money. That wasn't true, but they kept repeating it until it started to stick. Then came court. Sitting there, hearing my own mother say I wasn't even there when it mattered, it hit hard. My sister added to it, twisting moments, leaving out facts. I tried to speak, to explain that I had proof, but the judge looked unsure. The room filled with whispers. Then my mom said it clearly. She said I was lying about everything, even about my dad's condition. The judge paused, looked at me, asked if I had medical evidence. For a second, I froze. Then I said yes. And just like that, the room changed. The first betrayal came quickly. My sister submitted medical summaries that looked official, but something felt off. Key details were missing. Dates didn't line up. I knew those records. I worked with documents like that every day. The second hit harder. My mom claimed I refused to visit my dad near the end. That wasn't true. I had been there, quietly, without making a scene. But they made it sound like I abandoned him. People started looking at me differently. The third was the worst. They suggested I misunderstood everything because I wasn't mentally stable. I heard my sister whisper, "You always overreact, Danielle." My mom followed with, "This is why no one takes you seriously." For a moment, I almost believed them. I felt small again. But then something shifted inside me. I stopped reacting. I started working. I went back through every record, every report, every timestamp. The more I looked, the more I saw. Inconsistencies everywhere. I requested full access to original records. Not summaries. Not edits. Everything. They didn't expect that. In court, they acted confident, like it was already over. They smiled. They relaxed. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. I organized everything. I prepared. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself loudly. I just built something stronger than their words. What they didn't know was that I understood medical records better than they ever could. I had spent years handling sensitive files, reviewing details most people ignored. I knew how easy it was to adjust a summary, to leave something out, to shift a timeline. But I also knew how to prove it. I had already contacted the hospital directly. I didn't ask for printed reports. I asked for raw data. Original imaging files. Untouched records. I studied timestamps closely. That's where mistakes happen. That's where truth hides. Then I found it. An MRI scan taken just days before everything supposedly changed. That scan told a different story. A clear one. I didn't rush to reveal it. I waited. I let them build their case. I let them feel safe. Because timing matters. And I knew the exact moment it would break everything they built. I wasn't completely alone. At the clinic, there was a supervisor who had always guided me. She was calm, experienced, and sharp. I showed her the records quietly. She studied them, her eyes narrowing slightly. Then she said, "This doesn't add up." Hearing that mattered more than I expected. She helped me understand how to present the evidence properly, how to make sure it couldn't be dismissed. Outside the courtroom, my mom and sister acted like they had already won. My sister leaned close once and whispered, "You should just drop this." I didn't respond. My ally told me something simple. Truth doesn't rush, but it always lands. We prepared everything carefully, filed the request, followed the process. They thought I had nothing left. That was their mistake. As the next court date came closer, I felt the pressure building. Not fear. Something else. Focus. The courtroom felt different that day. Quieter. Tighter. When the judge allowed my new evidence, my mom actually rolled her eyes. "This again," she said. I stood up, steady. "Your Honor, I'd like the original MRI scan displayed." The screen lit up. The image appeared. Clear. Cold. Real. A medical expert stepped forward, explaining each detail. In simple terms, the room listened. The scan showed that my dad's condition had been misrepresented, that the decisions made didn't match what the data showed. My mom shook her head. "That's not what we were told," she said. I looked at her. Calm. "No. That's what you chose to ignore." The timestamps were reviewed next. Every inconsistency laid out. My sister tried to interrupt, but the judge stopped her immediately. The tone in the room shifted. Completely. Now they were the ones being questioned. Their confidence faded fast. I saw it in my mom's face. The first crack. The truth wasn't emotional anymore. It didn't need my voice. It stood on its own. The court ordered a deeper review into everything. My dad's care. The decisions made. My credibility came back in a way I didn't expect. Not loudly, just quietly restored. My mom and sister were no longer in control of the story. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel victory. I just felt steady, grounded. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't ignored. I wasn't dismissed. I had spoken and it mattered. I chose distance after that. Not out of anger. Out of peace. Life didn't suddenly become perfect. But it became mine again. They tried to silence me. But the truth doesn't need permission to be heard. In simple terms, the room listened. The scan showed that my dad's condition had been misrepresented, that the decisions made didn't match what the data showed. My mom shook her head. "That's not what we were told," she said. I looked at her. Calm. "No. That's what you chose to ignore." The timestamps were reviewed next. Every inconsistency laid out. My sister tried to interrupt, but the judge stopped her immediately. The tone in the room shifted. Completely. Now they were the ones being questioned. Their confidence faded fast. I saw it in my mom's face. The first crack. The truth wasn't emotional anymore. It didn't need my voice. It stood on its own. The court ordered a deeper review into everything. My dad's care. The decisions made. My credibility came back in a way I didn't expect. Not loudly. Just quietly restored. My mom and sister were no longer in control of the story. I didn't. If your family ever tried to twist the truth or make you look like the problem, you know how heavy that feels. Share your story in the comments. I want to hear what you've been through. Subscribe if you believe truth deserves a voice. And click hype to help this story reach others who need the courage to stand up. Your story has power. If you felt a connection to mine, please subscribe and share your journey in the comments. Every hype you give this video helps empower someone else. Thank you for being here and for listening.